juvenile justice system is like playing football without a helmet. There are no filters. You're directly in the business of the families that come into the system. There are lawyers and there are lots of protections, but there's something much more intimate about juvenile court. The lives of underserved communities are a lot more open and apparent to you in that system than they are perhaps in the adult system.
Which was tougher, adult court or juvenile court?
Oh, I think juvenile court for sure. In adult court, if for one thing, you've got an array of options that you can use, including punishment. In the juvenile justice system, you are statutorily forbidden to punish, so you must treat and rehabilitate. And when you're running up against, first off, absolutely no resources, none whatsoever. Sending kids home with their families is cheap, and sending kids home with their families without services is even cheaper. And the cheap is where it's at right at the moment with state and local government. They don't have any money. They haven't. So the first thing you start cutting is services, and particularly services in a system that is as unwatched as the juvenile justice system is. Most district attorneys will tell you that because they are responsible, the code makes them responsible, which is one of the good things about the code. It clarifies that responsibility. There are many good things about that code, but in any event, whether it's 17-year-olds or 18-year-olds doesn't really matter from the DA's point of view, because that many more cases in juvenile court or that many fewer cases in superior court. From the point of view of somebody strictly working in juvenile court, because kids are doing more and more and more serious things, because we've got so few options to deal with them, because we only have jurisdiction over them until they're 21. The 17 the child being an adult at 17 is maybe the only effective way that we can deal with some kids. If we're still seeing really serious kids at age 16, then even if we're at the point where we could get restrictive custody on something very, very serious, we only have the Department of Juvenile Justice can only hold a child until he's 21 years old. And so at 17, now you've just cut off a year. At 18, you've cut off another year. So, the older the child gets, the more and more and more limited your response is to kids that are really doing serious things, and kids are doing really serious things. So, from the point of view of just a juvenile court prosecutor, the 17-year-old age cutoff is appropriate. At the federal level, the most important thing is the funding issues. These programs are expensive, and if they're really going to work, they're a lot less expensive than locking somebody up as an adult or letting the kid get into the adult system, which is a point that is lost throughout most of the debate when you're starting to talk about juvenile justice, or really any petty crime. A lot of times if you can be serious, I don't mean locking people up, but I'm talking about if you can be effective and tough on misdemeanors, you frequently can prevent people from moving over into the felony realm. The more any human being gets away with something, the easier it is for them to take the risk and commit antisocial acts, and that's certainly true in the juvenile justice system. So at the national level, I think that we need to be seriously talking about whether kids matter in so many different ways, and not just on the juvenile justice in the juvenile justice system. We intervene all across this country in every state too late, and we intervene for the wrong reasons. I have to say, I have to come to work every day and fight to do my job.
Right.
Because there are just so few resources, and we just don't pay attention to this system. And there are really, really good people in this system working very, very hard to try, with what little they have, to try and make it work. And I see that in DeKalb County. There's not any kind of scrutiny. Nobody really thinks to look at how all of the different agencies, work together. Why, for example, I'll finally be able to say this, I'm now a taxpayer in DeKalb County. What are we really getting out of having a full-blown police department in the DeKalb County school system? I can't speak for the other counties, I don't know, but nobody's looking at it either. Are our schools really more safe because we have school resource officers there? Are they really more safe? Is there a reason why our discipline code reads like the criminal code? Ask for a discipline code and read it and see what you think. Why is a fight at school called an affray? Why is it if one kid hits another kid, it's an assault? Are we really accomplishing anything by taking that approach? And particularly right now when we're when our school budgets are so stressed.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And is it really doing us any good? It would be the question of how can we start addressing the I want to get out of the word causes because causes always carry a moral implication, but how can we start being more sensible about where we begin to deal with families in crisis, and how we deal with families in crisis, and what priority would that be? What priority would that be for them?